introduce yourself to everyone, both here and online.
Hi, my name is Mary Murphy and I am from Drogheda and I am 33 years of age, same age as Jesus.
I thought you were 20, but 25.
No, 33. Yeah, and I work for Marian Pilgrimages and yeah. The Lord has taken...
So many people might have spoke to you when they were booking trips at Marian Pilgrimages. So,
yeah, maybe.
God bless you. And thank you for being with us.
Thanks
and I know,
for the invitation.
The first thing I want to ask Mary, I know, from talking to Mary and knowing a little bit about Mary's story, is that, Mary always hadn't got the faith that you have now. So, we talk about some people may have some faith, or they believe in God, but they don't know God. They haven't come to a relationship with God. So, Mary, I'm just thinking, you back then, so what was your life like before you really, really came to know God? A little bit around it.
Well, I suppose it started, we grew up in a really Catholic house. My mom was always devout. She was always clinging to a cross, and I think the rest of us kind of just drifted on around her, but she always brought us to Mass as kids every day. And I think it was always instilled in me from the beginning, but as we grow up, we don't really continue on the faith. And I think when I finished school and we fall in love, or we think what love is, but it's not really love because He is the true love that we feel. But in the midst of everything, we think that it's love. And what I really thought was love wasn't. And I've moved to Canada and I've done so much that I was drinking and partying all the time. And it's not good when your dad's an alcohol and addiction counsellor, by the way, also, just to add that when you're out and you'd be like, you're binge drinking. But I done it to fit in, and I done it because He loved that, and I thought that that's what I had to do to feel loved. So that's what I do, and I left Mass. We wouldn't go to Mass, and I didn't really do anything. I just left completely, and my mom had gone to Medjugorje, and she had found this whole new love for the Lord, and none of us had gone, and my dad, I think, had gone then, and she invited us to go, and I think it's very... of the Lord that I'm with John, because it was John and Pat. John had just been ordained and I went on that trip. So 8 years ago I'm on this journey, and it's been a whirlwind.
Mary, if you think, was there a void in your life back there before, would you have felt the void?
Absolutely. I think it's always been, there was something niggling at me all the time. And it was funny, when I moved to Canada, I used to walk past this church every day, and I said, because I didn't even know that Christian and Catholic meant the same thing. That's how I didn't even realize that was a thing. And every day I'd walk past and I was like, Christian church, is that Mass? I didn't go, but the draw was there to go into that church. And it was funny, our housemate went to Medjugorje and he gave me a thing: if you knew how much I loved you, you'd cry with joy. So I think the Lord was always niggling at me. I didn't go and search for the Lord found me.
Isn't that lovely?
Yeah.
Isn't that lovely to think? For all of us, He says, I chose you, you know what I mean? And it's beautiful to think that. I think about when you talk about, maybe so many of us, that ignorance of our faith. Because I know back when I was kind of 30 coming to me faith, I used to say, if Jesus was a Jew, why am I not a Jew?
Yeah.
And I often think of that, saying, that was a fair question. If I wanted to follow Jesus and He was a Jew, why am I not one? But little did I know, and my lack of kind of the teaching and understanding. Mary, when you went to Medjugorje, back then, I suppose even talking about your time in Medjugorje, your encounter with Christ, your encounter with Our Lady, where did you encounter that new relationship?
So just to go back a bit, I had moved home from Canada and I was very lost. I had lost the relationship, and I went back into always just going out with friends and stuff like that, because I thought that's what the right thing to do was. And my mother's faith, as we know, is very strong, and she was praying, and she was like, Mom and Dad were going to your diaconate and that they were going to Medjugorje, and she asked if I'd go. And I don't know if I said no to her. Maybe she'd vouch for that, but I don't know if I said no to her. But anyway, I went, and my mom loves to sing, and we were on the bus, and I said to Dad, I can't cope with this. I was like, she was singing, everybody was really happy. I was like, this is torture. I said to Dad, and either Pat or John stood up on the bus and they said, we're going to come this week with an open heart. And I want you to leave everything now, and I want you to be open to what the Lord has in store for you this week. And I was like, right, okay, sure, we'll give it a go and we'll see what the crack would be. And I think 3 days into the pilgrimage, I still hadn't really done anything. I'd gone to mass and stuff like that, and Gussie was with us and they were praise and worship and there was so much stuff, and I just didn't have any of that because I didn't know, there was nothing that I could cling to. And God bless Pat. I accidentally on purpose slept it in to go up Cross Mountain.
Indeed you did.
I did not want to go, and we went to mass that morning, and Pat, lo and behold, didn't go either. And him and a lady called Eileen were going up the mountain, and my mum was like, "You're well able to go up it, there's 2 sticks." And I was like, "I'm not able to go up this mountain. There is no way. I'm physically and mentally unfit to climb that thing." I was like, "I'm not going to do it." They encouraged me, and I said, "You know what, I'm just going to go." So Pat and Eileen were walking up Cross Mountain at the base of the mountain, and Pat said to me, "Pick up a rock." And I was like, "Okay." And I was like, "Try and get myself up this, never mind carry a rock with me." Like I was like,
pick the biggest one.
I know, and I think he said to me, "That's bigger." He was like, "Take it," and I was like, "All right, okay." So like I was taking the rock, and I was like, "I'll put it in the bag." But Pat was reflecting, we were on the stations through Our Lady's eyes going up the mountain, and him and Eileen were really like, opening themselves up personally, going up the mountain. And I wasn't ready to open up about what was going on in my struggles. So I continued going up, and it was like, I often say the Lord carried me up that mountain that day because I genuinely don't know how I made it up it. And when you turn, Pat was like, "We're at the top." And I was like, "Oh gosh, I did not feel that struggle." I was like, wow, I made it up without a bother. It was grand. And I got up to the top of the cross, and Pat says to me, "Mary, I want you to lay everything down at the foot of the cross." And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "Give everything to Jesus." He was like, "Give Jesus all that you have and ask him to just, whatever's going on inside in you, to let him take care of it." And I was like, "Right, okay." And he said, "I know," he said, "that you have hurt, and whatever you have, you're after breaking up with this relationship." I was in it for like 9.5 years, so it was a very long time. And he was like, "I want you to give it all to Jesus." So I knelt down and gave it all to Jesus. And I think poor Pat thought there was just going to be this miraculous moment in the point of this story. It doesn't get that good that quick. So I was sitting there, and like Eileen was upset because she was carrying her own cross at that time, and me, no, I was like, I'm not giving in. I was like, I'm still going to be numb. But I left it all, and I prayed, just take everything away from me and just let me have life again, and like, don't let me see that person that I was in the relationship with. I don't want to, on social media these days, it's so hard, and it's a constant niggling pain that you see with somebody else, or you do something. So I was like, just remove everything. So we didn't go down the mountain the normal way. We said we'd go down the back way. And we said, "Okay, come on, we'll go." Within an instant, and I always say it's like when John the Baptist and Moses banged down and saying, "The sea parts," and my heart parted. My foot was only off that base 2 seconds, and the heavens opened and it lashed rain along with my heart, and I stood there. Oh, it still gets me emotional. For no joke, what felt like hours. And Pat stood there with me for that amount of time with Eileen, and I just cried. And it was the most amazing experience to feel love, what real love feels like. And I went back down the mountain, and my poor mother, she was so excited that I had gone. And I think that night, Gussie was flat out praise and worship. And the Lord knew, and I want people to know this, the Lord knew that I could not go straight into adoration. It wasn't where I was meant to be. I had to go to praise and worship first. I had to, because I love to dance and I love to sing. So he met me where I was at in the midst of that. And that's where he brought me straight. He knew by me going with you on your diaconate trip that that's where I was meant to be. No incident is not heard of. It's part of the plan. Whether we devise from the plan or not, it's always going to be the plan. So I just want to say that's he will meet you where you're at on that journey. And that was right where I was meant to be, was in that group, praise and worship. And I had the best experience of my life. It was the most powerful thing, to be able to praise God. I didn't even know that existed. Praise and worship was just amazing. And it was just then we came back. I had the most amazing week, went to confession, and God heard my prayer and he answered it. And I have never to this day seen that guy or seen that on social media, nothing. But the Lord had a greater plan and desire for my life. And when I came home, the CF4 sisters had just moved to Drogheda. And yeah, the journey just continues then, like of...
Wow. You know, Mary, and thank you, you know, even for that encounter, because it's one thing we all long for is that encounter, and some of us have had different encounters. And I remember on that trip you talked about the encounters we have. I remember I was in the room with Pat. Of course, he slept it out. He slept it out that night.
See, it was part of Pat's plan to meet me.
Listen to what he said there. We're in the room. So who left me sleeping?
But we were talking even one of the days saying, it was only the gift of being ordained as well, just kind of a week or two beforehand. And it was that trip, and I was in the room and I was saying to Pat, you know what, wouldn't it be an amazing experience to be able to preach in Medjugorje? Never forget this, we didn't think anything of it. I went over to the sacristy, like you do, and I was going on the altar, and just before I went on the altar, a nun came in and she said, listen, the priest that was preaching hasn't turned up. Father, you're saying Mass, will you preach? And he said, I couldn't preach don't tell me to do that. I wouldn't know how to preach without being prepared. And then he said, Deacon, would you preach? I said, yes. And, I know when you talk with them God instants, because I don't know. I know it's still on Mary's Fruits of Medjugorje there, what I preached. But I don't know I can't remember what I preached that day, but I remember it just flowed out. And it wasn't, it was God. It was a God instant, and God knows, and he's there before us, and he has this plan.
Yeah.
So I thank God for that with you as well. Mary, when you came back, and even, with the sisters, the Franciscan sisters, and how is your life now? I mean, how would you say as regards, because God wants us, he doesn't want to leave us where we are.
No.
And he wants us to grow and come stronger to him. And that's different for everyone. How has it been for you?
Well, it's been a whirlwind, because the CF4 sisters came, and like I said at the start, I had no experience of faith. I didn't understand my faith. It was just a thing that we went to Mass and we prayed, but I didn't know anything about it. And the CF4 sisters came, and literally Sister Jacinta, she's back in New York now, but she was like a spiritual mother. She just took me under her wing and completely. But Jesus, Our Lady, they removed so much from my life without even me noticing it. I don't even have the same friends anymore. I don't have anything. And it was just, but new people kept coming into my life instantly. I went to U2000. I think people thought I was going to be a nun because I had no friends. So I just hung out with sisters. I had no friends, no friends. And I still think to this day, how did I do that? How did I go to them retreats by myself? I had nobody. And slowly, but I had the sisters and I had Jesus, but I had nobody else. I was and you could see all these people, groups of friends having the crack and the laugh, and I genuinely don't know how I done it, but I did it through the grace of God, and I did it. But it's slowly but surely, I have the most amazing group of friends now that we walk in this faith journey together. And then I took a midlife crisis at 30 and decided to give up everything and go to do Holy Family Mission, and that's where I really learned to know, love, and serve God.
Wow. Today, even though at times we all get our struggles, how would you say your life is now in your faith with your relationship with Jesus?
Well, as I said, Jesus...
What do you get from it?
Oh, well, wake up every day and give it to him. Start your day praying. Even if it's just a simple prayer to Our Lady, it's just say, Mother, I'm yours now and forever, and through you and with you I want to belong always and only to Jesus. It's him that's going to lead the day. If you don't give your day over to God, nothing's going to work out for you. And in the midst of the struggle, I have my struggle still. I still have my storms, but if you give your fiat to the Lord, it's totally different than giving a yes. Because once you give that fiat to live your life for the Lord, you're going to do it.
Explain what you mean by fiat, because so many people say, what do you mean by fiat?
So Our Lady's fiat was the greatest fiat all when she accepted the baby Jesus. So your yes, we go back on our yeses all the time. We can't. But if a fiat to the Lord is the greatest yes that you will ever give him. And I try my best to give him my greatest fiat, and I try to live every day. But there's days I'm struggling right now, because this week has just been a whirlwind, but I know that he's in the midst of the storm with me, and I try to go to adoration every day. It's hard because obviously I work full time, but if you go to adoration, he's waiting for you in that monstrance. Like, he's just sitting back like me and you're sitting back. He's like chilled, waiting. He's looking at he can see each one of you right now, and he is just like happy out. He's sitting on his throne, just like waiting for you to enter and waiting for you to be like, you're here. And even if you spend 5 minutes, it's better than anything else you've done in that day, because he's been sitting in that tabernacle waiting for you to come. And he knew, and you know, there's a song, it's like, you came, I knew that you would come to save. And like,
Sorry, I can't join in with that.
he is always ready, willing to get out and be with you, and you just have to trust. And it's the greatest battle, because I can allow myself to get into a whirlwind of feeling upset that my life is not working out yet, that I haven't met my future spouse. Everybody's praying for my future spouse, but like, you know, that's part of my struggle right now. That's my cross, and
He's picked already.
he's picked, and it's waiting. It's just, and I
Where
said,
is he?
my poor mother, I said, St. Anthony's going to be thrown off the bus because St. Anthony's not hurrying up. but
You know,
that's,
I often think in Medjugorje,
Yeah,
like,
at the statue.
when we're here kind of praying to St. Anthony for lost things, over in Medjugorje, in that area, they pray for our future spouses.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, there's a story over there. Do you know it?
Yeah,
tell them what it is, because it's a funny one.
There was a girl, and she was fed up of waiting for St. Anthony to find her future husband, and she had a statue. She had a statue, and she threw it out the window, and the statue hit this guy, and that was her future spouse.
That was our future spouse.
So yeah, he's not.
Don't give her a statue.
Yeah, don't give her a statue. But so, like, you know, we all have our crosses, but do I choose to pick my cross, or do I choose to carry it along with Jesus, and I choose to carry it? You know, my mom and dad have taught me the greatest gift in life is faith. And, you know, even traveling, like we travel, like Dad has taught me so much about traveling the world. Don't be afraid. Your ministry, Ireland, needs renewal, and it does. But your ministry goes beyond. Don't be afraid to post something on social media. Don't be afraid to step out. Like, you know what I mean? It's hard, but don't be afraid.
You know what? It's what can you say? What can you say? I can't say anymore. Bar, we need all our young people to have that zeal that Mary talks about. I thank you, Mary.
Thanks.
I thank you sincerely for sharing some of your journey. I know it's only a small part of it. I know that.